Okay, so today I'm going to go through a product that John Stone will start doing now. It's a bone out shoulder of lamb. And I'm going to cook it on the barbecue in a while. But before I cook it on the barbecue, so it comes, as you can see, backpacked. I'm going to open it up and it's bone out. So what I just want to do is I just want to open it out a little bit more because I'm going to marinate it and I'm going to cook it from start to finish on the barbecue. So I just want it nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over then. And the fat that's on the back, I'm just going to gently run my knife along the fat. So what I'm trying to do here is that when we cook it on the barbecue, it's going to help that fat render down and cook a little bit more, because some of the comments around lamb is that it can be a little bit tough and fatty. Okay, so there, I'm just going to score that up as well. Now, so I wash my hands. And then to serve with the lamb, or to marinate the lamb, I've got some extra virgin olive oil. So I've got 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and this is some red wine, Chardonnay red wine vinegar. So I've got 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, and then I've got Dijon mustard for the marinade, and I've got 1 big dessert spoon of Dijon mustard, and a good crack of black pepper. Now, also in there, I'm going to add in 6 cloves of garlic. Okay, so I'm just going to chop the garlic. 1. And I've also got some parsley, some mint, and some rosemary. So to serve with the lamb after taking it off the barbecue, I'm going to make a salsa verde, which is basically just a green sauce to serve with it. And in the salsa verde, I'm going to use the parsley, a little bit more garlic, some mint, some more of the red wine vinegar and the olive oil, and some capers. So it's quite a lot of garlic, as you can see, but it's a marinade. A lot of this is going to be left on the barbecue when we grill it. So I'm going to grill it on like a medium heat, and it's going to cook for maybe, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes, even 50 minutes. So in there again, we've got our olive oil, our red wine vinegar, all of that delicious garlic, good crack of pepper, and now with the parsley that I have, I'm going to just chop all the stalks, because they can go into the marinade. Okay, and the rest of it I'm going to use to make the sauce. And then mint, I'm going to use about half of the mint. So that's just a pack of the mint that I bought in the shops. Chop the mint in. Same thing, because it's a marinade, I'm not too worried about the stalks. That goes in as well. And then the rosemary, I'm just going to pull, I'm not going to chop the rosemary up. I'm just going to pull the leaves off the stalk. And that's it. So that's our marinade. So just a quick recap on that. We've got 5 or 6 tablespoons of olive oil. I've got 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I've got my garlic, lots of garlic, so it's 6 cloves of garlic. Good big tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And lots of cracked pepper. Put a bit more pepper in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lamb and I'm going to add my lamb in there. Now at this point we need to get our hands in, because we want to rub all of that marinade into the lamb, because then I'm going to put it into the fridge for a couple of hours before we barbecue it. Okay, so getting all that lamb, and make sure that we're pushing it and massaging it all into the meat. So the lamb has had a couple of hours to marinate now, as you can see. So it's beautiful smell of garlic, and you can actually smell the vinegar as well. The reason the vinegar is in there is to try and kind of tenderize it a little bit. So I've had my barbecue. Just have a look in here. The coals are gone white. I lit it about maybe 15 minutes ago, and now I'm gonna lay the lamb across here with the fat side down. So I'm just gonna lift the lamb out, and as you can see, there's a good bit of that marinade left. I'm gonna just get that in there as well, and I'm gonna cook this for about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, turning it every couple of minutes. And then what I'll do is I'll move it. I'm going to start it off over the hotter heat, and then I'm going to move it to the other side of the barbecue where I have the plate in there to stop the direct heat. And I'm going to cook it, as I said, for about 40 minutes. So I'm going to close the lid on the barbecue now, and we leave it to cook. So as you can see now that lamb is starting to, the fat is starting to caramelise from me a little bit. So I'll turn it over, and I have a little bit more of that marinade. Get that in there. And I'll cook that now for another 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll move it over then to the colder part of the grill. I'll leave the lid down, and just let it caramelise down, yeah. Now, so just have a look at the lamb here. So I took the lamb off the barbecue and put it back into the dish that I marinated it in, and I stuck it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. And now it's had 15 minutes out of the oven to rest. Okay, so as you can see, it got lovely colour on there. Just dressed it in a little bit of olive oil while it was sitting there. So to serve with the shoulder lamb that off the barbecue tonight, we're gonna do a little salsa verde, okay, which is just a green sauce that's gonna serve with it. So to go through the ingredients, I've got some shallots here, which I peeled. I've got a clove of garlic, some mint, and that's the mint that I used for the marinade, and the rest of the parsley. And then remembering what we used in the marinade, I'm going to use some red wine vinegar, some extra virgin olive oil, some cracked pepper, some salt, a little bit of Dijon mustard, and some baby capers. Okay, so I find the dressing like this cuts really well, especially with lamb. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So we're going to just finely chop some shallots. You can also make this in a food processor if you want it really smooth and really green. I actually like it with a little bit more texture. So we're just gonna, I have 2 shallots here, so I'm just finely chopping. And then I'm gonna finely chop that clove of garlic. And they go into a bowl. And then we grab our clove of garlic. Same thing, just run your knife through it. Taking a little bit more time this time than with the marinade. I just want it all nice and fine. Goes in as well. And then my mint leaves, I don't want the stalks in this time, so I'm going to just quickly pick off the leaves and run my knife through that. And then when I cook my lamb later on, I take it off the barbecue, I'm going to let it rest, and I'll put this bowl of salsa verde in the centre of the table, that people can just help themselves. Okay, so then with your mint, just grab it in your hand, squash it all up, and then just run your knife through it again. Another quick chop. It's okay. And then our parsley. So same as before, I cut all the stalks the last time. And then just run my knife through this. So if you wanted, you could also add some basil in here if you had it maybe grown on the windowsill or in the garden. So basically any nice soft green herbs works really well in this. So I'm using, as I said, mint and parsley. So that's fine enough. Doesn't have to be really fine. So in here, into our shallots and our garlic, I'm gonna put 4 tablespoons, 1, 2, 3, 4 of olive oil, and 1.5 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 1.5. Again, a really good twist of cracked black pepper. Some sea salt. Give that a stir. And then I'm going to add in all those lovely herbs. So as you can see, this is like a salsa or a dressing that's going to go really great with the lamb. And then the only other ingredient I'm going to add into that is our capers. So I want about 2 tablespoons of capers. Same thing again, I'm just going to run my knife through the capers a little bit. So these have like a vinegary, salty type of a flavour if you've never used them before. Go brilliant in dressings, lovely with fish, but they also go really well with lamb. Because again, the fat content of the lamb likes some acidic, so that the vinegar in the capers works really well. So we'll just stir that through. And then the last thing I'm going to add in here is just 1 dessert spoonful of Dijon mustard. And it's just going to take another 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a little bit more vinegar. So there's probably about 6 tablespoons of olive oil gone in there now, and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Now, as I said, if you didn't want to chop everything, you could get a food processor or a NutriBullet. Put all the shallots, the garlic, the olive oil, the vinegar, the capers, the Dijon mustard, and the herbs in there, and then just blitz it up. So this is going to go delicious with our barbecued lamb. So we've got a salsa verde, and to serve with that, I've got some roast potatoes. So these are just small baby potatoes that I've cut in half, dressed in a little bit of olive oil, no salt, and I put them into the oven. And now I'm just going to season them up with a little bit of salt. And then 5 minutes before I finish roasting, they've been in the oven for about 40 minutes, I put some rosemary on them. Okay, so I'm going to put them on the bottom of my serving plate. Mash them all on there. So as you can see now, we're just about to eat this, so it's going right to the table now. And then my lamb, I'm going to take my lamb out. And then I have a nice sharp knife here. I'm going to just carve that lamb up. So as you can see, it's not too pink. If I cooked it too rare, it'd be a little bit tough to taste. So I'm just going to slice all that up. And then the salsa verde that I made earlier, that I showed you how to make, I'm going to just season that now with a little bit of salt. The salsa verde, I'm going to put a little bit over the potatoes. And then we're going to take our delicious shoulder lamb. It's been barbecued. Ooh. It smells so good. That's going to pile that up nice and high. Now, just move this away. So, we've got some barbecued and marinated shoulder lamb. Those few little juices, I'll just pour them over the top. On some roasted new potatoes with salsa verde. So that's going to go to the table. Enjoy.